Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, as you can see, I've got the Subaru in the garage. That means we're working on the Subaru today. I've got in this nice little box here something pretty awesome. I'm going to show you guys, obviously. So in here, as you can probably guess, is a lift for the Subaru. This is a 1.5 inch spacer lift, as you can see here. It's a nice little lift here. It's pretty cool. So we're going to be installing this on the Subaru today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, gotta repress some new studs into our struts here, but that shouldn't be too bad.
Spoiler alert, it was terrible. This took literally an entire month to install. So there you go, it sucked.
So let's just get started. I'm really excited to be finally doing this. And then once we're done with this, we can start on race car stuff for the Mustang. So let's get into it. First things first, we gotta jack the car up, obviously. I'm gonna be doing one side or one corner at a time, just because it's gonna be a lot easier. I've never done anything like this. I've installed a lift before, but not like this, so this is new to me. So I only want to have one corner jacked up at a time, just in case something happens. I don't have everything jacked up and taken apart. So let's jack it up with my nice new Daytona 3-ton low profile jack in beautiful lime green, I'm assuming. I'm guessing this is lime green. Doesn't matter, it's cool. I still haven't gotten the garage, organized how I want it to be. So, bear with me on that. I've already got my lug nuts loose on here, so it'll be pretty easy to get off. Now, let's go ahead and get our wheel and tire off. Then we can start getting the strut off. This should be a relatively simple install.
It wasn't.
I think the part that's going to give me the most issues is having to press out the stock studs from the strut, but we'll see what happens. So let's get this wheel off and get to it. Let's get to it. Ooh, very nice, very nice. Alright, so this is the first time I've ever been under here, or I've looked under here. This bushing looks like it's almost completely shot, so that's cool. We might get some new control arms in the future. But here's our strut. I don't actually know if you guys can see this. Hang on. Getting in here, this looks like a relatively simple setup. It looks pretty much like the Mustang, except we have an axle here and the control arm's different. I think there's actually more linkage on the front of the Mustang. Rotors look like they could be replaced pretty soon. I do actually have rear rotors that I need to put on and pads, but this looks like it's probably going to be an 18 or 19. Let's see if this is a 19. What do you know? This is 19. Let's see if my impact can break this loose. Probably not. That's why we have this, our trusty little breaker bar here. Look at that. Oh yeah, that's what you like to see, man.
Okay, so at this point, the top strut bolt was not coming off. I ended up going to Harbor Freight, getting in a 1/2 inch impact, and it still wouldn't come off. I do explain it a little bit in the next clip, but I ended up having to cut the bolt off because the nut just would not come off of the top strut bolt, and I have no idea why. The top strut bolt is actually a camber bolt, so I thought maybe there was a certain way to take it off, but after ordering a new camber bolt and reinstalling it, there isn't a certain way. It should have just come off, but it didn't. This was the first sign that this wasn't going to go as easily as I thought it was.
Okay, so after about an hour and a half, 2 hours of trying, I actually ended up going and buying a nice impact here from Harbor Freight, because I didn't have a 1/2 inch impact. I only have my little 3/8 here, but that wouldn't even get this top nut off. So we had to resort to cutting it at first with the Sawzall, but that kind of stopped working halfway through for some reason. It just decided to stop cutting. So then we have to, and then had to use the grinder. Unfortunately though, this is a camber bolt. As you can see, this is not a normal, here's the bottom one. Like the bottom one, this impact got this bottom one off, no problem. But as you can see, this top bolt here is a camber bolt. It's got a nice hump in it. That's for adjusting the camber. So we're gonna have to buy a new camber bolt, unfortunately. But that's okay. We can do that. So we got the bottom here completely loose, except for a couple of tabs that we gotta unbolt. But for the most part, everything's loose. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these done, and then we can get the top. And then we can take this out and start the lift process. So the top is just these 3 nuts right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and now I just have to figure out why this is not coming off here. This should be coming off, but doesn't want to, unfortunately. Let's see if we can. Hey, it worked. Okay. So I just pull this out, and as you can see here, we got our strut. Very nice. So basically the plan now is to press all of these studs here out. I wonder if I can just do this with a hammer, just hit these out. Doesn't look like it. Like that isn't, so I guess what we're gonna have to do, okay, is get a coil spring compressor here, and we are gonna have to take this apart, which is something I didn't really want to do. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do it, but unfortunately it doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to take these out with everything still together, so that sucks. It's mainly due to this piece right here, this coil seat, this coil spring seat right here. That's probably that's really the main reason. It's because of that. But anyways, we're gonna get a I don't know what size that is. It's probably like a 15, probably 14 or 15 if I had to guess. We're gonna get a coil spring compressor on here, and then we'll take this apart and get started on pressing these out. I actually have a ball joint press or something. I'll probably just use that. Might be a little big, but you know, it's all right. So let's get to it.
I forgot to record the disassembly of the front struts. Sorry.
Alright, so something funny happened. Basically, I forgot to record the process of installing the actual lift on the front. I didn't record the springs being compressed, pressing out the old studs and then pressing in the new ones, as well as installing the actual spacer. I didn't record any of that on the front of the car, so I can't really go back and do that. So I'm really sorry about that.
So I don't know if you can tell or not, but this was filmed 2 weeks after I originally started the lift, and I'm sure you can probably tell how worn out I am because of it. This took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, and it really was stressing me out at this point. So I'm really sorry again that I didn't record any of that. It was just really stressful.
It's pretty straightforward though. You just compress the springs with the coil spring compressors, take the strut apart, take the top hat over to a vise, which is what I use. I use a vise and then a socket, and then I press the old studs out and then press the new ones in. Now I am going to show you guys the process of doing the rear strut, because I still haven't done that one yet. This rear passenger side is the last one. I've done all three of the other ones, but I'm gonna film the disassembly as well as, you know, pressing out the old studs and pressing in new ones on it so that you guys can see what it entails, because, you know, for those of you who are wanting to do this to your Subaru, you know, you can get an idea of what it's like. Now, the rears are different from the fronts. I should, you know, go ahead and say that. The fronts were a real pain in the ass. They weren't very fun. They are obviously doable, but they're just a pain in the ass. The rears are not too bad. You do need another person to help you bolt the rears up because they are inside. The top hats are, you know, inside of the trunk. So you do need help with that. But other than that, you can do them pretty easily. They're not bad. Just get started. I've already got the wheel off, so now I just need to take the strut out and we can get started. I've already established where the top two bolts are for this strut. They're inside the trunk. Here's our strut right here, and then we've got a bolt holding it on down here, and then like I said, the two bolts at the top. We're gonna take this off, compress this spring down, and then take it apart, press out the old studs, and then press in the new ones. It's easier said than done, obviously, but it's you know, we can do it. So let's just get to it. I also apologize for the lack of light over here. My lights are only like up over towards the front of the car, and I would open the garage door, but it's super cold outside right now, and it's very windy as well, and I just don't want to have to deal with that. So this bolt, or this nut and bolt here, this is a 19 mil or a 3/4 inch, you know, whatever you've got. Alright, so getting in here into the trunk and laying down in here, you can see our top hat bolts, our strut bolts right here. These are 14 mil. It helps if you have a ratcheting wrench to get these off easier. It does really help. Alright, so we took out those two top nuts, and we got the bolt out of the bottom here. Did require some persuasion. You're either gonna have to hit it out with a sledgehammer or loosen it out, you know, which is what I had to do. But here's our rear strut. It's pretty simple, you know, it's nothing too complicated about it. Now all we have to do is get some spring compressors, compress this, and then we can press these old studs out and press the new ones in. The new ones are, I believe, probably like 2 to 3 inches longer than these, so to accommodate for the spacer. So let's get to it. Okay, so I've got my spring compressor on here. Now I have two different types of spring compressors that I've been using for this. I have your standard, you know, this is just, you know, what you can rent at an O'Reilly's or AutoZone. This is your standard compressor. I have this single action like clamshell compressor. Now I got this yesterday with the intention of using it on this front strut, which I did yesterday, and it ended up just not working. So I'm going to try it on the rear strut because these are different, you know, from the fronts. They're skinnier. I'm going to try it and see if it's worked. It looks like it is. It's lifted this up from the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the disassembly of the strut, which I'm going to take my 17-inch wrenchy boy here, as well as my 7 mil or my 6 mil socket, or my 6 mil Allen head, which is what these are, and I'm going to begin on the disassembly. I'm going to attempt to, at least. I'm going to have to use an impact. I'm gonna have to use the impact for this to get it started because it does not want to come off. So I'm gonna get a 17 metal socket real quick and get it started. Seat is like was just absolutely just oh my god. So I'm going to get this spring seat off. It's in the way of my studs here, so I'm going to have to pry this off. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to get it off. The other side, it just came off. It was stuck on there pretty good, but it still just, you know, came off without any issues. So I'm going to have to figure out how to get this one off. We can take this over to the vise and press these old studs out, press the new ones in. So let's do it. So I got my vise here. Sorry for the clutter again. I'm still in the process of making the garage how I want it to be. I have to finish the Subaru though so I can get it out of the garage. But anyways, first things first, we need to find a socket. I think that 17 mil is probably gonna be the best one. So I'm just gonna use the 17 mil socket that I was using. Basically all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it right here on the back end of the stud, put it in my vise. That was honestly a little bit too easy to get out. That kind of, okay, well, that's one out. I need to find that socket. I think that's it right there. Yeah. So that came out a little bit too easy for my taste. That kind of concerns me, but you know, that's okay. You know, it's all good. So now let's do it with the other one. See if the other one is just as easy. Yep, looks like it. So there's our other stud pressed out. Now we got two studs that are not going to be used anymore, and now we have a clean studless top hat. So here's our new studs. As you can see, these are about, I don't know, let me get one of these old ones here. So yeah, as you can see, these new studs, these new studs are about, I don't know, like 3 inches longer, probably like 2-3 inches longer than the old stock studs. So now we're going to press these new ones in. And this is the part where the vise, in as far as I know, is just not going to be able to be used. Mainly because I don't have anything long enough that will go over this that can be put in the vise. So this is where I'm going to use a ball joint, or not a ball, a bushing compressor. This is, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, right? It's a bushing. I don't know, we'll see. I'll show you guys in a minute. But this is where I'm going to use these or that to press these in, because again, I can't use a vise to press these in. It just will not work. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be using to install our new springs. This right here. I'm assuming, if I'm correct, this is a whatchamacallit, what I like to call it, I guess. So basically what I'm going to do is stick that through there. Okay, so I figured out how I'm going to do this. So where's my other? So I've got one pressed in already. I'm going to take my other one here, got it on. Basically what I'm doing, this is my setup here. It's kind of wonky. I've got a 13/16 socket face down, and then I've got this little beam or this little tube here, and I've got it like that. And basically I'm just pressing it like this. So this will go in here and slide in. There's a little slot here for that to slide in, and then all I have to do is tighten this down and get it where I want it. So there we go. Now all we gotta do is go put it all back together, which is another one of those easier said than done thing. That's the thing that I've been having the most trouble with, is putting the struts back together. But hopefully, since this is the last one that I have to do, it'll cut me some slack, but we'll see. So let's go install it. Alright, so now we're gonna go about putting the shocks back in.
Hey, Dad.
You wanna see your shirt?
Look.
Very cool.
Robot. Wait.
Hang on.
Hey, Mason,
Stay
come
right
here.
here.
Let's put the jacket on.
So we've got it tightened down on the top all the way, so it's not going anywhere. Now it's just a matter of getting this bottom strut here, the bottom of the strut here, to go up into place where we need it. Alright, now we can maybe start with putting them back up. I'm not sure what the torque specs are on this. I think, you know, if you just get it really tight, then you should be good. Take a look, take a gander at it. Now, I am aware that it probably looks a little bit goofy with a lift and stock wheels and tires on it, but you know, I wanted to get the lift on first. So, looks good though. Happy with it. Alright, let's go for a drive. Okay, so I've been driving the car around for a few days now since lifting it, and as far as like how it feels, you know, as far as all that is, you know, concerned, I guess, it doesn't feel any different. It feels stock. I mean, it is obviously higher off the ground, but drivability hasn't really changed. The only major difference in you know, as far as drivability goes, is cornering. There's a lot more body roll now that the car is lifted. The body roll is really bad now, whereas before it was just kind of like, you know, it wasn't the best, it was pretty bad. Because the car already sits a pretty decent height off the ground, but now that it's lifted, it's it's very bad. The car body roll is really bad, which I'm not really concerned about, obviously, you know, when you lift a car, you're obviously, body roll is, you know, one of your least, you know, one of the things that you're least concerned about. You know, I mean, if you're lifting a vehicle, you're obviously not trying to corner super hard with it. So, you know, it's all right. You know, I'm not worried about it. This project took a lot longer than it should have. So I hope you guys, you know, enjoy the video. I know that, you know, there was the part where I forgot to record disassembling, you know, the struts, the front struts, and showing you guys that process. But, you know, it's the same as the rear, so you're really not missing much. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.